What's up folks, welcome to the video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at how we restaff a pocket watch balance. Now I've actually gone ahead and already removed the hairspring, but we can see that the top pivot on this particular balance is completely snapped off, so this will have to be fitted with a new staff. But we're going to start off by removing the roller. And to do this we're going to use the very popular Version roller remover tool. This is a fairly simple tool, and it comes with a platform with two slots, V slots, which you slide the balance onto, and you can use this for pocket watch balances and wristwatch balances. And you pick the V slot which best suits the balance, and you slide that underneath the roller, and it comes supplied with two stakes. In this case one has a slightly larger hole, one has a smaller hole, and you just use the appropriate sized stake for the balance that you're using. And with the stake in position you can place that over the top of the top pivot or the bottom pivot of the balance. Give it a good firm tap with the hammer, not too hard, you're not trying to put in nails into a wall. Just give it a good firm tap until the roller becomes free from the balance. With the roller removed, it's a good opportunity to check the roller for any damage, any chips to the jewel, make sure the jewel's not loose, and any other kinds of problems, deformities or damage that the roller might have had. Next we're going to check on the staking tool the correct size hole that we need in order to push the staff through the rim. Now you don't want the hole to be too large, otherwise you'll end up damaging the arms of the balance rim and it'll warp the rim itself, and too small and the staff won't be able to pass through the staking tool. So once you've found the correct size hole, you use the sharp stake to center the tool plate and then lock it off with the knob on the side, and that hole will be dead center with the staking tools that go through the top of the tool itself. Now to remove the staff itself you can use just the tools that are provided within a staking tool, but in this particular video I wanted to show you a old tool produced by K&D, which is an American brand. This is specific to removing the staff from a balance. Now ideally it is supposed to be used with a K&D staking tool, but I don't possess a K&D staking tool, so this tool has actually been modified by me to fit my Version staking tool, and it's a great little tool and greatly reduces the risk of damaging the rim when taking out the staff. Fairly simple principle. You can see that little stake pops through there. That stake has a hole on the end, and that pushes the staff out through the back side of the rim without damaging the rim itself. So we just hold that firmly in position whilst we use the stake itself, and we give it a nice firm tap, and the staff will come out usually within the first hit, nice and easy, and usually with no damage to the rim at all. So with that staff removed I can actually see that the hole in the balance itself is really clean. There's no damage, no previous repair work. So we can remove the bottom cap from the staking tool to get rid of the old and broken balance staff. Now in the picture in front of me I can see that the original staff is on the left with the broken pivot, and the new staff on the right, and the dimensions are all exactly as they're supposed to be, but always double check that the new staff you're going to fit has all the correct dimensions before you try to fit it, because it's better to check twice than regret it afterwards. Now when fitting a new staff I like to use 4 different types of stake. 2 of them are flat. The first one is to make sure that the rim sits on the staff nice and flat, and then I use 2 round nose stakes. One's slightly smaller profile than the other, and this is to form the rivet, and this pushes out the material firstly with the small one, and then pushes that material out even further with the slightly bigger rounded stake, and then we finally finish up with the flat stake. And what this does is this then flattens that rivet along with the balance arm, so we've got a nice flat flush finish, so the hairspring collet can sit nice and flat on the balance rim once that's all complete. But before we get to creating that rivet, we've got to make sure we find the right size hole for the staff to sit in. You don't want it too small and too large and too slack, otherwise the balance staff's going to move and you risk damaging it. It also is a very inaccurate way of fitting the staff. Too small and the balance staff won't fit through the hole, and then you find the right size hole, and you can then center the tool. Again, using the sharpened stake, we just pass that through the tool, find the right hole, locate it, and then lock it off. That way we know when we pass the stakes through that it's going to be dead center to the staff, and we're not going to have any issues when we're creating that rivet. So we just pop the staff into the correct hole, and then we can fit the rim on top. Now some of the rims, when they're refitted onto a new staff, some of them can be quite snug and they need a good push. And this is what this larger oversized flat stake is used for, to make sure that the rim is in fact nice and flat and flush to the staff. Just give that a very, very gentle tap with the hammer to make sure that that's on there. Now the first stake is the smaller round nosed stake, and this is the one that forms the majority of the rivet. It pushes the material of the staff outwards, and then we follow that up a bit later on with a slightly larger round nosed stake, and that pushes the material out even further, and that's what catches the hole in the rim and creates the nice strong firm rivet. Now when hammering the rivet, it might take quite a few blows, and you don't want to hammer super hard, but you don't want to be too gentle, but you'd be quite surprised by how little force is actually necessary to create the rivet. But whenever you're using these stakes, you want to keep turning them. If the balance moves, hold the balance still, but keep turning the stakes themselves, and that way you'll get a nice rounded rivet. If you just stake in one position, you could potentially end up with a wonky rivet, so just keep turning the stakes themselves and you'll get a nice rounded rivet. And then you finally finish off with the flat stake, and that will flatten out the rivet and make it a nice finish in the end. We're just checking here under the 10 times magnification loop, and I can see that the rivet has formed quite nicely and that the staff is nice and secure. So we've got the final flat stake here. We're going to make sure that that rivet is nice, flat and flush to the arms on the balance rim. Again, we're going to keep turning the stake to make sure that that it's concentrical all the way around, nice, firm and flat. Nice gentle taps with the hammer, don't need to go too hard, but just enough to flatten out that rivet and make it a nice finish. Trying to zoom in there, see if we can actually really see it, but it's quite difficult to do. But we've done quite a good job there, and that stuff is nice and secure in the rim. Now this tool is used to check the amount of play or wobble in the rim, and sometimes if the rim isn't dead center, dead secure on the staff, you'll see quite a bit of a wobble on there, and that's easily rectified in most cases. You can take the balance out, put it back into the staking tool, use a flat stake and give it a good firm tap to make sure that that rim is sitting flush with the staff. But I can actually see off camera that this rim is actually okay, so there's not a problem with the rim, and there's not too much play, so I'm perfectly happy with that. So now we're going to refit the roller by using one of the flat stakes in reverse position in the staking tool, and then the top stake is going to push the roller back down onto the bottom of the balance staff. Now, some rollers fit on quite nice and easy, and other rollers require a bit of force to go on, but if it requires too much force, then generally there is an issue with the dimensions of the staff. Now, not all staffs are created equal, as they say, so do be careful. Make sure that the dimensions are within a tolerance that the roller can go back on. And now we're just going to refit the hairspring to the top of the balance. And that should be a simple, straightforward push fit, but in this particular case the hairspring was actually loose, and I had to use the collet tool, which you can see in the background, to tighten the hairspring collet and put the hairspring back on. So that is the balance now completed. We're going to reassemble it into the cock of the movement, and then before the movement is assembled, I'll make any necessary adjustments for the beat error. Just give it a puff of air, and we can see that it's got a nice free movement. We can check the end shake, we can check the roller position for beat error, etc. Before the movement is finally assembled. And now we can see the movement is fully assembled, and the watch is back and running again. The timing is actually pretty good on this Buren, which is a 3512 caliber Buren Lux. Unfortunately, the mainspring is incorrect for this movement and is overpowering the watch, so it's running fast no matter what the regulator's set to. But we've successfully set out and completed the task of repairing the balance in this particular case.